This video is brought to you by Audible. Go to audible.com/polyphonic or text polyphonic to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days. George Clinton and Eddie Hazel were sitting in the studio, tripping like crazy and about to record a slow jam. Clinton looked to Hazel and told him to play like his mother had just died, and then to play like he found out she was actually alive. Or at least that's how the legend goes.
Mother Earth is pregnant for the third time, for y'all have knocked her up. I have tasted the maggots in the mind of the universe. I was not offended, for I knew I had to rise above it all, or drown in my own shit.
What came next was 9 minutes of the purest guitar ever played. Eddie Hazel took Clinton's prompt and turned it into something even more profound, expanding the vision from the mourning of a mother to the mourning of an icon, of a movement. Without using a single word, Eddie Hazel voiced all of the fears and hopes of a generation that was reeling from drastic social change. He picked up the torch that fell when Jimi Hendrix died and used it to create a sonic blueprint for how the oncoming decade could feel. And in doing so, Eddie Hazel paved his own road to immortality. Like most young guitarists, Eddie Hazel was enamored with Jimi Hendrix. Hazel was 17 years old when the Jimi Hendrix Experience's debut album dropped. At that point, he had already been playing guitar for some time, learning it from his grandmother, who played the blues. And Hazel was a bit of a virtuoso at the instrument. By the age of 12, he had already started performing live alongside his friend and future Funkadelic bandmate, Billy Bass Nelson. Hazel's talent as a teenager was enough to get him recruited into George Clinton's R&B band, the Parliaments, but it wasn't until Hendrix came along that he really found his voice. Billy Nelson recalled to Pop Matters, "Once Eddie started listening to Jimi Hendrix, he really found his niche. Immediately, he was like, 'Damn, Bill, I can do that.'" Hazel was right. He quickly developed his own spin-off of Jimi Hendrix's psychedelic blues, a sound that would be key to a shift happening within the Parliaments. Clinton was pushing the group away from more traditional R&B and soul and into more psychedelic sounds influenced by Hendrix and the Beatles. When the band got into a dispute with their record company, they changed their name, taking on a new moniker that encapsulated the sound they were trying to create: Funkadelic. In 1970, Funkadelic stormed onto the scene with their first two albums led by Eddie Hazel's wild, raw, Hendrix-influenced sound. But then, in September 1970, a piece of tragic news broke. Jimi Hendrix had died of an overdose at the age of 27. That death loomed over the music world, and it was still fresh when Funkadelic started to record Maggot Brain at the end of the year. So when Eddie Hazel played the solo that would become his magnum opus, at least a part of him was eulogizing Jimi Hendrix. You can hear it in the raw emotion of Hazel's playing. It's an expression of the sort of pain that can only come when a truly brilliant light is snuffed out. In fitting tribute, Hazel soaks his guitar in fuzz and lets loose with the wah pedal just like Hendrix would. At times it almost feels like the very spirit of Jimi Hendrix is possessing Eddie Hazel. But there's a deeper pain present in Hazel's solo too, beyond the death of Hendrix, beyond the imagined death of a mother. Because there was an even bigger death happening when Funkadelic were recording Maggot Brain. The death of the hippie dream. Through the 60s, there was a real sense of optimism, a sense that change was coming on issues of race, gender, and class. And in a lot of ways, Jimi Hendrix was a symbol of the imagined unity that the world could have. He was a black and indigenous man fronting an integrated band, singing for peace and for love. His death was just another nail in the coffin of the hippie dream, especially given that it was coming in the wake of the Manson murders and the disaster at the Altamont Free concert. The pain of Maggot Brain is the pain of an imagined utopia lost. Clinton himself said he wanted the album to go places that black groups hadn't gone, into questions about whether America was still on the right path, or whether the promise of the late 60s had completely evaporated. And in the middle of the song, as the volume drops and Hazel noodles, it really feels like a place of hopelessness. This is underscored by Clinton's production decisions. The whole band actually played on the original recording, but Clinton mixed everyone who wasn't Hazel way down and soaked the song in echo to create an isolation, a loneliness. But then, at the song's nadir, we hear the groove of Hazel's childhood friend, Billy Bass Nelson. Hazel and Nelson exchange phrases, starting a little conversation that helps Hazel's guitar perk up. He's lifted from his quiet noodling and is able to return to the soaring notes of the intro. This time, Hazel's intro motif is brighter, tinged with hope. It's come through the depths of darkness and emerged to the other side. The sorrow of a mother's passing gives way to the joy of discovering she's still alive. And from the ashes of one guitar legend, another rises. Hazel's guitar is embodying the cryptic poem that opened the song. It's rising above the maggots in the mind of the universe, providing hope in despair. It offered an emotional catharsis to guide the remaining hippie cast-offs, those who were still searching for spiritual enlightenment amidst a world that was crumbling at their feet. George Clinton remembered witnessing Hazel play the solo. When he started playing, I knew immediately that he understood what I meant. I could see the guitar notes stretching out like a silver web. When we played the solo back, I knew that it was good beyond good. Not only a virtuoso display of musicianship, but an almost unprecedented moment of emotion in pop music. It was maybe the first time that our emotional ability as artists matched our technical ability as players. Before it was the name of the song or album, Maggot Brain was a nickname for Eddie Hazel. And as Hazel thrashes about toward the end of his solo, Clinton's voice returns to the mix, encouraging his transcendent performance.
Oh, Maggot Brain.
But Eddie Hazel's success was short-lived. Within a year of the release of Maggot Brain, nearly the entire Funkadelic lineup had turned over. Hazel began to succumb to serious issues of alcoholism and addiction. He served some time in jail, and eventually, in 1992, at just 42 years old, his liver gave out. For all of the optimism and the hope for transcendence in Maggot Brain, Eddie Hazel, tragically, wasn't able to rise above it all. Like Hendrix before him, Eddie Hazel's light was snuffed out before its time. But like Hendrix before him, Hazel was able to inspire a whole new generation of musicians. Dean Ween and John Frusciante have both cited Maggot Brain as foundational to their careers, and more recently, Donald Glover called Maggot Brain the inspiration for his masterpiece, Awaken My Love. And so, despite the tragedy of his own life, Eddie Hazel was able to channel his immortal hero Jimi Hendrix and inspire the world, playing his own way into immortality. Putting together visuals like the ones in this video takes a lot of intricate time adjusting things in After Effects. And personally, I find that listening to audiobooks while I do these minute tasks can really help me focus. So I've been using Audible a lot lately. Right now, I'm using it to listen to Bob Dylan's much anticipated book, The Philosophy of Modern Song. If you like my stuff, chances are you'd probably like one of the greatest songwriters of all time talking about how modern songs are created. If you want to check it out, you can try a month of Audible absolutely free by going to audible.com/polyphonic or texting polyphonic to 500-500. And of course, Audible has all kinds of content beyond books as well. They've got podcasts and really incredible originals. My favorite of those originals is an adaptation of Neil Gaiman's Sandman, which just dropped its 3rd season. As an Audible member, you'll get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog. And again, if you go to my link or text polyphonic to 500-500, you can try Audible absolutely free for 30 days. Following that link also lets Audible know that I sent you, which goes a long way toward helping my channel. Thank you all so much for watching.